These are the top 5 tips for Modern Warfare 2's DMZ that will help you survive more raids and get the most out of every single drop. I am Player 2, YouTube's main source for daily DMZ guides, so if you want to get ahead in Call of Duty's new game mode, consider subscribing. First, you need to gear up. There is no reason to attempt completing strongholds, fortresses, contracts, or fighting an enemy squad at exfil without putting yourself in the best possible situation to survive. Most importantly, you should always have an excess of plates, and at very least a 2-plate carrier equipped. You're automatically given a 1-plate carrier to start out every raid, which you'll recognize pretty quickly doesn't keep you alive very long. Most of your combat interactions are gonna be with enemy AI around the map, and they tap hard. If you're not careful, they can easily overtake you and your squad. With minimal damage resistance, taking on anything more than random roaming AI, like armored enemies or high-value targets, is pretty risky. 2-plate carriers and sometimes even 3-plate carriers can be purchased at buy stations. And not every buy station has the same items. They also have limited amounts. So if other players have bought the whole inventory in that particular match, they won't be restocked till the next one. By the way, you can also tell how many plates other players have equipped by looking at the hit marker when you fire at them. The blue armor marker is for 2 plates and the purple armor marker is for 3. With being able to 100% purchase the 2-plate carrier as well as additional plates from a buy station, your first goal in a drop is to gather up some cash and then head right to a buy station. Along with the 2-plate carrier, you should buy a gas mask if you don't already have one, in case you find yourself later on in the match caught in the radiation field. Buy a self-revive if there's one available, giving yourself a second chance if you get into a hectic situation. This is imperative if you're dropping in solo. It's also worth noting that if you pick up a revive pistol, its intended use is to res teammates from a distance, but it can secondarily be used on yourself. If you shoot yourself in the leg when you're downed, you'll get revived. But you can't really plan this as part of your loadout, as they are a field upgrade, but you have to find them to equip them, and they're not really a super common find. The last thing that you should be able to plan for is a kill streak. At buy stations, you will see randomized kill streaks available for purchase. With your tactical lethal and your field upgrade already equipped, this is going to give you some extra leverage in combat in the DMZ. Now, the caveat is that all of these buy station items are pretty expensive when you add them all up, but it's also important to have them in every single raid. Nothing is stopping you from doing that except for the cash that it's going to take to buy them. At the beginning of a match, you will always have no cash. So once you leave the match, you will not take any with you. So it's very important to know how to gain large amounts of cash before getting into any engagements. And this segues us right into my next major DMZ tip: know the best loot locations. Much of the valuable loot in the DMZ is behind locked doors.
No more locked doors! Gracias!
Strongholds, fortresses, denied areas, these are great cash farms, but they're usually crawling with enemy AI, especially armored ones. And they might require keys that you haven't obtained yet. Secondarily, you can access hidden caches and safes, but you may not yet know all the different hidden cache locations, and with safes, you have to complete contracts to reveal where they are. And yeah, they hold tens of thousands of dollars in them, but they attract attention from hostile enemy AI as well as players. And again, we want to gear up before we engage. So let's say you're dropping in like a freshly jellied baby boy or girl. The easiest valuable loot that everyone has access to is always found in computers and buildings that house electronics. GPUs are prime with a price tag of $16,000, but even hard drives and game consoles can rack up cash pretty quickly. This is the primary way to get rich in a match while you have access to nothing. And while looting, if you see a plane spitting out supply drops, those crates have valuables like weapons and gold bars. Try to hit them as soon as they drop to beat other players to them. Now, the last 2 tips have shown you how to gear up and how to get the cash you need effectively to purchase all the usable items that help you survive in the DMZ. But now we need to talk about your weapons, including my personal favorite build for the DMZ. With your plates equipped and kill streak and self-revive ready, what guns are best for the DMZ? This isn't TDM, and the DMZ map Al Mazrah is huge. The first part of your loadout should always consist of a sniper or marksman rifle. Personally, I prefer using a semi-auto like the EBR, mainly because I'm a terrible shot. Enemy squads have told me through proximity chat that I shoot like I have Parkinson's. So range is key. If you're able to pop the AI from a distance before making your way into a hostile area, you can remove much of the threat before you and your team get close enough for them to deal significant damage. This applies especially to the heavily armored enemies like the Juggernaut boss that you have to take down at the weapon case zone, and enemy players trying to exfil. The TTK is so low, even when it comes to fighting the AI. So range is your best friend. For your secondary, there is one gun that is just too OP and will make you a beast in the DMZ, and that's the health hazard named weapon that you obtain from killing the chemist boss in the center of the radiation field. Now, the blueprint for this weapon is the M13B, so once you extract with it, you can now use it in your insured weapon slot and add attachments to it from the gunsmith. But that's not what I do. The absolute best weapon combo for the DMZ is running a long-range marksman or sniper rifle as your insured weapon, so you can add some solid attachments to make it lethal and accurate at long range, and then utilizing the chemist's M13B, known as the health hazard, as your secondary, because the health hazard is the best contraband weapon in the DMZ. All other weapons that you find randomly from enemies or in gun lockers aren't usually kitted out and have low accuracy. The chemist's weapon already has attachments as well as a 60-round mag on an AR, and you can stock up your contraband stash with them. Every time you kill the chemist, you can extract with his weapon. Rolling around with a 3-plate armor carrier, a ranged rifle, and this gun gives you a major advantage over other players and the AI. For your tactical, UAV is OP. Being able to know where other players are when they can't tell where you are can save you in the occasion that you do get into some PvP. So I usually rock the heartbeat monitor for tactical. For lethal, I honestly just go with the classic frag grenade, as many of the enemies drop them so you can consistently hold 2 at a time. And they're pretty good at clearing out armored AI, like the thick riot shield boy, pretty easily. The best field upgrade in the DMZ is without question the munitions box. You're in matches for quite a long time, consistently emptying mags into the AI. Almost every raid, you're gonna run out of ammo on both of your guns, but even faster if you're running a sniper or a marksman rifle. The AI are gonna commonly drop AR ammo, but rarely ammo for your snipers. And these weapons already spawn in with relatively small amount of ammo as it is. It might even be best for your whole squad to drop in with munitions. Otherwise, have one of you bring in like a recon drone, so you can scout ahead if needed. These are great for strongholds and denied areas that are gonna hold a lot of AI. Like, to be honest, a lot of what you're gonna have to fight is AI. Players are surprisingly the least of your worries in the DMZ, which is weird for a match that can supposedly support 64 players. I never see anybody, outside of 3 locations that is. The radiation field, as this is the only way to obtain the DMZ exclusive weapon, blueprint, the M13B or health hazard that we were talking about earlier. The weapon case zone, as killing the Juggernaut is gonna drop a weapon case that upon extracting is gonna have unlockable items available across all of Modern Warfare 2. And then finally, the exfils that all players on the map need to use to extract. At any of these 3 locations, there is something that players on the map want. So if you really want to get into some PvP and engage enemy players, these spots are your best bet. Now, the 4th tip is pretty short, but it has some necessary information to help you get as much done as you can in every drop. There are particular advantages to using vehicles that make them more of a necessity in the DMZ. First of all, you have a timer before the radiation expands and everything on the map dies. Your goal in the DMZ over everything else is to complete the faction missions you have active. If you're able to complete all 3 of them in one raid, you're gonna progress through these missions a lot faster. The best vehicle on the map is always gonna be the heli. Problem is, they're rare and randomized. The vehicles do not spawn in the same locations every match. So often you're going to end up either on the ground or the water. In both scenarios, if you're running out of fuel or you've taken damage and need to repair, if you travel to a nearby gas station that are marked on your TAC map, when you pull up next to the pump, it'll both repair and refuel the vehicle to its max. And vehicles pretty much insta-kill any enemy. You can use it to cheese the chemist and get the M13B off of his body. You can take down other players. The problem is they do take damage pretty quickly. If you're rocking a 3-man squad, I recommend recommend that one of your squad mates bring in a trophy system field upgrade. If they throw it onto your vehicle and it locks into the chassis, it's gonna put up a temporary shield that will deflect any oncoming projectiles and enemy fire. Whether you're trying to go run over the chemist, perform a contract that requires you to safely get a vehicle from point A to point B without losing it, or you're about to drive in Leroy Jenkins style to a heavily infested enemy area, the trophy system field upgrade is extremely valuable. Now, we've made it through the DMZ. We've geared up, we have our weapons, and maybe even picked up some valuables or mission items. The only way to progress at this point is to survive and make it to the extract. When it comes to extracting, there are many in-game features that you can use to give yourself a better chance of making it more of a sure thing, including my favorite way to extract by calling in your own. That's separate from the main 3, available to all the other players on the map. To do this, you have to save a hostage. Here is the easiest way to get this done safely, along with how you can counter enemy players trying to camp you at the other exfil locations. Check it out. Everything that you learned from this video is worthless if you can't extract.